We expanded the parking. This parking may not make a lot of sense now, but upon completion of phase 2, you'll see how it's going to connect and be convenient to, again, that pedestrian access that is the football field here. This will be improved with a new athletic field, and then this is going to be a supplemental stormwater retention area that's going to assist your rock reservoir. Okay, I'm sorry, let me back up once. Let me get your bearings here. So, this is the gymnasium, right? There's a little storage area here, and this is classrooms. If you can recall that shape, I'm going to show you a building plan. Okay, so that's that same shape, existing building. This is the 50,000 square foot field house. 3 regulation basketball courts, right, for additional athletic sports courts. We've got a 4-lane, 160-meter running track, indoor track and field stations, and compartmentalization features that you'll be able to divide and use the field house as your builder requires. To the north, adjacent to that, is a 5,000 square foot fitness center. Each school has got identical amenities, just configured differently based on existing conditions. What's unique to Bremen is there'll be a new suitable wrestling dedicated area, which Bremen does not have.
Wrestling?
Yeah. So we think you'll be very pleased with this. We plan for 18 practice wrestling rings. We think that it's going to be this building organization is really going to lend itself to the corridors that lead to your field house. There's a lot of exciting things that we like to look at that we don't necessarily inform you of, and that is, if we're going to build a field house, what's the progression to get there? What's the school spirit? How do we, again, incorporate the circulation, hallways, travel space, and how it lends itself to opportunities leading to much bigger volume of spaces, how we plan and anticipate through hundreds. So with that, I'd like to go to a model, kind of show you what this building plan may look like from the exterior.
Unique to Bremen also would be 2 classrooms as opposed to the other buildings that are being one to create additional space for example.
Yeah, that's right.
So is this covered when you walk in, or you go to the field house from the existing building?
That's all under one.
All of this is under one?
Yes. Yes.
Directors and inspection of those, that's new classrooms.
So we can clear it, that's right, yeah.
We just called it that because the driver said that's what we're doing, so.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. So, again, north oriented up. This is a simulation of what, this is a simulation of the site. Get your bearings. This is remnants of that, this is the expansion to the parking lot. This is a pedestrian access way that we are looking at different products like a permeable paver, something that isn't necessarily asphalt or hard concrete at this point. The travel, the distance between the parking lots and the football field and the rest of the athletic fields, we want to create an outdoor civic environment. We are looking at proximity of these roadways to buildings and how buildings can lend itself for shelter and things like that.
The field house will have exterior lights to light up that sidewalk so you're not walking in the dark.
Right.
Football games.
Yeah.
In the dark.
Where is the main entrance to the field house?
Yeah, so if I could, if you remember that south parking lot area, that white building here, that's your service garage. Means to improve and accept the building expansion. This is a good example. Your south lot would communicate north. You've got an existing moving back here. We'd like to incorporate some circulation for vehicles that make better sense, ease of accepting deliveries. The school receives a lot of deliveries as compared to the others. And so we'd like to improve that.
I was also looking, exploring ways to make the existing garage blend in with our building. So
Yeah.
I didn't say
This campus, that's correct, Dr. Kendall, but this campus isn't the worst, although it's, we're facing complexities on the existing site conditions that, how it lends itself to the final product, and so we're looking at all things. Here's another example of the bus drive on the north side of the building. I like this portion of the model because it really introduces the main entry to the field house, while also communicating to the architecture that it touches. You know, there's a specific repetition, style, and mass into Bremen that we're paying close attention to. We don't want to ignore it. We don't want to put in a building addition that really doesn't communicate to the existing conditions. And so you'll find that all four designs, as I showed them to you, will lend itself to the module that is really inherent in these different buildings. In any event, this is the main entry to the field house. We think this district doesn't have, if we're going to implement a civic building, it should have a presence, it should have an entrance. I think people that are foreign to the district should be able to know where to go if they're invited. And so our main entries are doing several things. One, I lost it for a second. There we go. That progression into the field house, we want to bring more daylight in than what your corridors currently serve now. So this is a two-fold solution to where it creates prominence on the exterior, allows us to enter and exit the building, gives it identity, and also, again, that daylight feature really cuts the travel path in the corridor, makes it a more enjoyable experience, prep you for, again, entering a volume space like a field house. That same image, this is what this building is shaping up to look like. This is a preliminary rendering, but we're having some fun with it. The field house itself, we're looking at a precast concrete modular wall. What's unique to this district is doing 4 projects at once is quite an opportunity and quite a challenge at the same time. For efficiency of cost, a precast product is very durable. It suits itself very nicely to a field house. And if we can manage to use same module, same mold to create all of the wall panels for all 4 schools, yet give it some identity and uniqueness to each school, we think that we've met a challenge that we set early on. So there's efficiency. We've got a lot of opportunity to, if you're duplicating 4, why not make them as efficient and communicate as best as possible. Standardize. Okay, thanks for the PowerPoint. Any questions? And forgive me, this is good
Is
technology.
that on the field house, I was trying to see if there's any windows out, how we see. So I see the modular turns, I don't see.
Yeah, so
How, having lighting coming in and out.
we're looking at fulfilling the daylight requirements using skylights for windows,
Okay.
only based on athletics use, maintaining windows and pricing, walls and things like that.
Okay, so it won't have any windows?
We're looking at skylights.
Skylights. So
Skylights.
they're just
You'll get outside the light.
Yes.
outside, like from the sky.
So,
Not
yeah,
from the out.
Not from the windows, right?
all right. Okay, yeah, back to this plan, you'll notice that your storage and your spaces that aren't conducive to the windows are interior of the corridor. We plan all of these spaces to have daylight features. So the fitness center, the wrestling, and the classroom expansion will all have ample daylight, better than what we have now. The field house in itself, based on its use, we're looking for
Typically, feel possible that much. Glare, some things over.
Brendan? Okay. Oak Forest High School.
Are we integrating solar panels or?
solar panels, in short, and that could be a meeting in itself. The technology really isn't conducive to capture the dollar back initially. And so if we were pursuing a LEED certification, or if we were, the budget really isn't conducive for solar panels entirely, although we're looking at options to see the efficacy of smaller components, not necessarily the entire building. Oak Forest. North is up. What's unique to this site is 45-degree building orientation. Doesn't really maximize land use well. There are classroom wings. This is the INC here. And then we have all of the athletic portions of the building where a field house would be proximity to accessible. The difficulty is getting exit corridors and communicating and making sure that access to the field house remains in the interior of the building. Cost per square foot is important to us, and like to stay efficient. More compact, more efficient we get, less dollars we spend. And so naturally you can see that this is a wide open opportunity to put a 50,000 square foot building. The complexity is we have documented wetland that's due north of that area. We have to stay out of it. What is unfortunate is the existing tennis court configuration was in the way. So in short, far less expensive to relocate the tennis court than it would otherwise be to mitigate a wetland. That's why Oak Forest got new tennis courts. So we reconfigured this. The storage volume in the football field remains as similar to the other schools. The classroom wing area here would separate the existing gymnasium proximity to the field house. We studied it, it didn't make much sense to us. And the roof things tight on the south of the property. We don't want a 38-foot tall field house in proximity to residents if we can control it. And so with that, we started targeting this area. This is where the future field house addition would be. This is existing conditions before we started construction. Again, a good example of poor drainage. Subsurface conditions here under existing conditions aren't ideal. And what's unique to Oak Forest is you can see a good portion of the foundation is exposed on the outside of the building. If you ever were curious as to why, it's because the building remains a single level floor, but the grade changes. The grade subtly continues to drop in elevation north. So what you find is a building that acts more like a diving board. We have a 50,000 square foot building attached to this. You can see that it accentuates the cantilever, the diving board effect. And so we have to be very careful as to what the grade change in elevation is going to be in this area so that A, we don't introduce any stormwater to the wetland area, and B, we don't create a building that looks like it's 55 feet tall. And overnight, you have a new football field and new tennis courts. If you had an interest, the entire site drains to this area. There's a creek here, which should be noted. All four of your campuses, upon completion of phase 1, is going to implement a cleaner stormwater system than you've ever had before. So not only do we regulate the flow based on prior conditions, but we've cleaned it up to what's called a WMO, water management ordinance by the MWRD. That's something to be particularly proud of, considering if any community or resident would be interested to know how this all works. We can demonstrate that these filters are cleaner and slower and regulate better than ever before. This garage, Dr. Kendall may have touched upon the proximity of the garage relative to the football field and the planned building expansion. These are challenges that we're facing, which is why we're in the 60% design development phase now. We are looking at how this all works and preparing for that final building condition. We want to make sure we have exterior circulation matching the interior exits and the pedestrian traffic and how we're seeing. Closer shot of the building pad, although you cannot quite see it. This elevation is 1 foot below the existing building elevation. You anticipate that slab. This is about a 9-foot elevation grade difference to the north side of the building. We are,
Did you say 9? Okay, I'm just making sure.
it's significant.
So this is for the foundation to get it.
That's correct. It's for the floor to align to the existing floor. And so we do not want to accentuate the conditions where that building foundation was exposed more than it needed to. You can see that we've got dirt cover now. It really helps us create a design that addresses all ends. This is a good example of how we can improve an existing condition to introduce an expansion. Another shot of the building pad. Okay, floor plan. You can get the picture. New driver's ed. Toilets for convenience based on the field house and proximity to a lot of people using one space at a time. Trainer's office, 5,000 square foot fitness center. We've planned storage in a unique area relative to the field house addition. In short, when you build something taller next to an existing smaller, dwarfing something that could potentially create a snow load addition, we plan for the expansion to be far enough away so that we don't implement or have to reinforce structurally the existing building $10 where we don't need to, and yet give the field house the ceiling height that we needed. Let's see. This will be the main entry to the field house. This will be another entry that we consider a main entry because of its proximity to the athletic fields and the pedestrian traffic. This is a walkway that we are planning to both accept the exits to the field house and communicate to that existing football field. I can picture this so small. Same orientation. Okay. It's hard to get your bearings because the building's at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to call this the northwest corner of the site. This will be the main entry to the field house. That's the field house itself. The browner brick is the existing building. Let's see if we can swing around here. Better look. Football field, tennis courts, existing conditions today, pedestrian walkway, a building that we're conveniently not showing you yet because we're not exactly sure how to solve that, but we're looking at it. And how this driveway that we've implemented off of Long Avenue both screens the residents from the activity and noise that's on the football field. This dramatically improves an existing condition. Allows a convenient driveway access that's going to be restricted use by the district, but also implements a life safety concern by the fire official for getting an apparatus or a fire truck to turn in that parking lot. So we're making accommodations to the city side as well. All right, Rich. Yes, very good. We spin around. The existing dumpsters are in this area, corner of the building. Not a great place for a main entry to a field house. And so in addition to that turning radius, we're going to implement refuse disposal on this side of the building.
Are we going to increase that parking lot because we were adding infrastructure and not increasing the parking lot?
Are we talking this parking here?
No, but in the front.
In the front.
So the answer to that question in short is the fieldhouse addition, short of, we would plan for expansion for the classroom addition, right? The fieldhouse addition would increase the population, but we believe that we can correct your existing striping and spacing to give you additional spaces that would accommodate that incidental need without increasing pavement.
Without increasing the
Pavement.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 90 degrees parking.
So just do what you got.
Those practices. fields.
Right.
They're just grass.
Yeah, so for us, from our perspective, we use this simulated model, and it tells our staff what we can touch versus what we can't touch. And although it's not a striped soccer field now, it tells us to keep off that area. Here's a close-up shot of the fitness center, trainer's room, classroom space. Again, ample daylight. We're having a bit of fun with some shapes and forms that really both complement architecture, but again, introduce two things: civic feel to support its use, as well as give each property a campus feel. Right? So we really are focused on not just the interior space, but also the exterior space, and all these little areas that are suitable gathering spaces that are safe, well illuminated, and gathering points for students. That's the main entry. We think that's going to see a lot of use. And here is fly right through the building, and here's a rendering of what that could potentially look like. Any questions?
So we have the stairs and the slope.
Yeah, so.
I can,
Okay, so Oak Forest, that 9-foot elevation change, right? This is a great way to introduce a lower structure next to a taller structure to help alleviate and compensate what the top of elevations are going to be. This area here, given close proximity to the existing building, accommodates for the level change that's inevitably there today and how we can incorporate it as part of the addition. We'll have an accessible ramp as well as an entry feature stair that supports the entry. Okay. Park High School. This is interesting, you don't usually see this every day. This is a school campus that's really outside of civilization, as we call it. And that's for good reason. This is surrounded by three sides of the Cook County Forest Preserve District. And what's unique to this area is a glacial area. It's almost that flat. So it's not very good for stormwater drainage. Tinley relies on a mechanical pump system that is here. It will continuously rely on a mechanical pump system until the region can be, a solution can be created in the region to handle stormwater outflow. From 175th Street, the main entry, you can see this L-shaped parking lot. That's really a fixture to this school and how it's oriented on the site. We've got more wetlands that pepper and touch this area. We've got some wetland here. We've got the wetland there. Then we've got the stormwater issue of where the site will sheet drain to this area. This area is a little bit higher, also drains to that area, funnels to the outlet point to where it needs mechanically pumped. If anybody can place it before, 50,000 square feet can be a good area. That would be either here, not necessarily there, given the parking configuration, so we've focused on the area here. Lake Tim, we are familiar with that. Yeah, so our approach to this was, you've got a relatively flat area. We know that we have to dig it's about 27 inches deep underneath the full field to create the rock reservoir. What to do with all the spoils? We're building a building pad, or we're looking at building a building pad here. Residual soil was looked at to increase those elevations to separate the building from Lake Tinley. It was a good place to save export costs. And so the export costs for that soil that was placed in the existing tennis court area more than paid for the courts.
So Eric, all the parts of that tennis court are not moving. That's gonna be moved somewhere else.
Yes, they are.
They already
Sure. Configuration. Okay, yeah, north looking south, Lake Tinley. That's that mechanical pump. And we started excavation on the football field. Another shot over there. Yeah. Okay, so you can, this is a great slide because you can see some of the stripped area soil. You can see the threshold of where the ponding starts to build. It's a mild rain in our opinion before Tinley Park started building in stormwater level. And so we paid close attention to this to see what that water line would be and where the new tennis courts and new building heights should be maintaining existing floor level. It was a challenge. We're pleased with the result considering you can see how things are starting to improve. We targeted an area for the building pad here, revising the level of the existing tennis courts so that it can create a swale condition to keep the stormwater back as best as possible. Here's a configuration of what it looks like today. This is a silk fence. This is the new tennis courts. The grade change here, if you have an opportunity to walk that site, is pretty significant. So we've created an embankment to keep that stormwater back using the tennis courts.
The other part of the landscaping.
When you build that, then is that not going to go into the softball fields over here?
No. So
Right. That's why I wanted to go into the softball.
the softball fields were planned, in our opinion, based on keeping it on the high side. This is a known low side. And so the stormwater volume, the limits of where that stormwater collects, is no different today than it is on existing conditions. So we identified what the threshold was, increased it on the good side, kept it where it should be on the bad side. This condition here is not really going to be alleviated until the regional area. Flood.
Yeah.
Yes. So we've made provisions. We've increased the volume of the rock reservoir to a level that can accommodate it without creating hardship to the existing mechanical pump system. And so the duration of the flooding should reduce. The building of the flooding should reduce. But it's inevitable based on a 100-year event or a 1,000-year event that there could be substantial flooding again. It's a challenge to find a proper elevation so that it drains, so that it can gravity drain without a maintenance issue. So in this case, we're looking for something that would be 2 foot lower than the entire site. And 2 foot elevation that we're looking for is roughly 2,600 feet south of the existing school site. So you can imagine if there's debris, weed growth, any beaver built dam, it would affect that outfall because it's so shallow, it's so flat in this region. Okay, building pads, lots of building pads. Design challenge was keeping the athletic entry, the existing athletic entry that was in way close proximity to the parking lot and vehicle traffic, and we are comfortable with implementing, again, a new field house addition and squeezing in a main entry. Show you the next one. Next. Building plan. This is your existing athletic entrance. We've got a convenient shape and form to accept a vestibule that would be conducive for hundreds of people. We'll show how they complement and create some identity to the south entry that we think the building needs. Your field house, fitness center, drainage room, storage again, adjacent to the existing building. There's no load shelf feature. Driver's ed classroom and corridors. You'll notice that the corridor shape here, it's expansive. It supports the number of people that are going to be using it. It creates an architectural environment that will again, two-story daylight features to really make the circulation in corridor space pleasant. A place for students to gather, congregate, want to be in that place. Yeah, thanks. Okay, that's it. Existing tennis courts, field house, fitness center, entry to the east, and revised and improved athletic entrance to the west. The limits of the parking lots remain as they are today, but we're conveniently accommodating a level change for the entry to create a barrier for vehicles really to stay off of a designated path. The ADA accessibility is going to lend itself to the architecture. We're very pleased on these entry points as to how they're developing. We think that it not only brings in the daylight and openness features, but it controls some of the complexities of circulation. What's unique to Tinley Park is this is a 30-foot opening between the field house and the tennis courts. The length of the field house, about 250 feet, creates a tunnel effect that we think is going to play into the school spirit of teams and people leading into the football field. We like the coziness and proximity of the home bleachers to the field house and the tennis courts. This could be a very nice space. We're pleased with how it's coming along. Your existing use of the building, that's the front building. This is the concession stand. The existing concession stand that is going to be immediately adjacent to the new entry to the building. We are going to improve this. We think it needs to be improved, and we're going to blend it into the architecture of the building expansion. We're going to really want to get families and spectators over to the concession stand, do it in a playful way, create areas of green space and hardscapes. Again, we're looking at permeable pavers, different design in blending grass and pavement, so that this is an area of congregation. It's not just, let's see if I can take this away. This shape and form of the fitness center isn't really just nice to look at, but again, it creates and cradles these spaces so that we're anticipating how major events outdoor lend itself being social distancing. Shot of the entry, again, two-story spaces, northern light in this case, and shot of what that might look like. Any questions on two? Second floor? It's a
Just windows?
It's just windows.
That's okay.
Clear story windows, not a second story. North is up. Cruciform shape. I think you guys get the picture. You can see the real estate challenges here, there. And lo and behold, really, there's no other good place for a 50,000 square foot building, but due north of the building. We lucked out on this one because the proximity of that real estate availability is really conducive and convenient to your existing athletic uses of the building. Same conditions, we created a cavern, in this case a storm tech system. This is a highly sophisticated stormwater management system that we've implemented in our outfall features here. What's interesting to this site to us is you really can't find the main entry of this building. You really, we found and we've observed just looking that people tend to tug on the shut the door, trying to leave the building more than they're actually is tugging on the door that they should be entering in. We thought that was kind of neat. And how you access the building and its identity without really deteriorating the architecture of the building. We wanted to implement and complement a new entry point to an area that is really going to lend itself to a nice outdoor space. If I can show it to you. Okay. This is a shot of that north area of the building, pre-construction. The soil conditions at the site were pretty good. We didn't have as near as much trouble as the other sites, although we were scot-free on this one. There was some soft soil in the immediate area of the existing building. The remediation was light by comparison to other schools. Okay, here's another target shot of that north area of the building. Wide open, vast parking lot. Summertime, this is not a real pleasant place to be in. So we really took account of this patch of grass that we have here and what it can be turned into a field outdoor area at Hillcrest that students can naturally want to gravitate to, which is something we're looking at. And lo and behold, again, we've got a planned building, again, in proximity to some real interesting things that we'd like to integrate with design and architecture. So this is in process, new field, building pad. I think you get a picture. Yep, building pad. So we have one more building pad. And here's the floor plan. This is the existing building, that gray area. Corridors, driver's ed, fitness, trainer's room, storage. Your utilities, we plan utilities to be in the same area as it currently is, as it connects to the building, so we can save cost efficient. In this area here, although you can't see it, I'll show you in the model, this building, these exits from the field house really spill out into the track and field stations, which could introduce a convenient entry point into the football field. So we're looking at some neat shapes to kind of cradle that and support it, complement it. Yeah, if you could move on. Okay, same orientation north. Let's see. Field house. This is again quarter space that leads to the field house and how to get daylight into a two-story from a two-story space. A lot of massing at Hillcrest, not a lot of windows, and so we wanted to complement the module, but not overimpose straightforward picture windows to kind of offset a really bad condition, and no windows really exist along the perimeter of the building. The architecture of Hillcrest lends itself nicely to a field house, only because we're having some fun with some massing that I think you'll appreciate once I show you what the east side of the entry looks like. Shows a unique perspective. This is the existing building corner near the maintenance department. Cursor. Yeah, okay, so we wanted to make sure that anybody entering the parking lot from that driveway is really going to know, if I'm going to the field house, which door do I want to tug on and where do I want to gravitate to. We wanted to make sure that the entry of Hillcrest is prominent enough to address that issue. It also shows you the proximity of the building to the track and field stations, the meter relays, as well as the football field. And then that green area that I touched on earlier, about how these connecting spaces could communicate with each other and then possibly create an outdoor gathering space that would be appropriate, in our opinion, to this site, only because this parking lot gets hot in the summertime. You need some relief. And to scale, to human scale, this is what the entry would look like. Again, we're having some fun with some monumental features that really kind of support the architecture of Hillcrest.
Fiscally responsible.
And a rendering of what that would look like. Okay, and if I could wrap it up with some,
Was it one of our models, long jump and pole vault in a little area? I know that's for fans.
yes.
And
Let's see if I have
is that in there?
it. It might be. Should I make it back? Let's see if I see. Okay, I'm sorry, Dr. Kendall, this is a different model from what we showed you before. This has that security fence. This is, yeah, I'm sorry, lots of models. Not intended for tonight. Wait, bring that next time.
We still have that.
We do, certainly do. So yeah, in short, what Dr. Kendall was describing, our plan shows those cradle shapes that I was describing earlier. But we're looking at different things in this phase, and I'm sorry I brought a model that has got fencing and a conflict with its proximity. In any event, I'll show you next time.
So that's the long term.
Long jump and high jump.
High jump.
In the area,
Long jumping pole.
sitting here for fans.
So it's gonna be sitting where the pole vault is, or is it gonna be sitting around the areas?
It's really safe.
Thanks. Okay, out of everything we've been working on for the past 2 years, all the years, the turf fields, the turf fields, the turf fields, right? So let's talk about the turf fields. For us, as architects and designers, what's special is what happens underneath this turf.
You're the only one that isn't.
But it should be noted that these fields that have been implemented are substantial. And what I mean by state-of-the-art, I'll describe it in a second. The playability of the field is important, how it performs and how it simulates natural turf, always important to a player. But in this case, student player safety, it's very important. Concussion and evaluation and diagnosis of concussions are changing. Turf safety is important, and this district tested for the safety of the turf fields. There's a nationwide accepted method, the ASTM F1936 method. In short, they take a 20-pound missile, they call it. It's a simulated human head. They pick 12 random spots on the turf field, and they drop it upon a set distance, and they take a reading. That reading tells them, the tester, how much that field absorbs versus transfers back into that 20-pound missile. That 20-pound missile was indeed a human head, how much force is being absorbed by the player athlete versus how much is absorbed by the field. I can tell you that a good GMAC rate, GMAX is the name of the test, it's measured in G-force. 200 would be an unsafe condition. The lower the number, the better. Fields in Illinois and fields in this region target 135 to 180 for the life of the field, approximately 10 years. Because the district opted for not only composition of the turf field itself, but the rubber and sand inlay, you guys implemented a shock pad underneath your turf. The entire assembly communicates with our stormwater system. It filters the same water as we need it to trickle into our underground system. But it creates a level of safety that I'm going to ask you, if we have the results of your test, where do you think you landed? Anybody want to guess? 110. 110. Anybody else? 110 would be pretty good.
I saw it.
This district
Wow.
tested 79.75.
That's incredible.
That is not only the best in the history of our company, but the best field that we own in the region. So you should be very proud of that. I mean, that's substantial. You should give yourselves a round of applause for that. Okay, to wrap it up on our critical path schedule, our next round of goals are phase 2, building shell. That's, we want to release bid documents before the holidays, get out early for a good competitive bid environment. We're going to release the construction docs targeting December 4th. That's going to give us a contract review period around the 20th, again, just before the holidays. You guys have a board meeting on the 16th. Oh, yeah, thanks very much. Aha, we caught it in the end. Thank you, 2018. If we release contracts in January, then we can get out for fabrication of the long lead items, the concrete panels, modular panels that we can manufacture and have available for a March commencement date of construction. So you should, the district should be particularly proud of themselves that not only did we emerge from the sort of quick operation under budget, but we've set the stage for coming out to construction, even if it's a wet spring. It's a wet spring. I thank you very much for your time. I know that this was a long presentation, so thank you.
So the one piece that Ari did not talk about was we also did our gym floors with that same budget, which is another significant project. Tuesday night, what we're going to ask you for is permission to move forward, and we're predicting that this phase 2 will be in the $60 million range to be paid for over the next 2 years. So that's a target number, that's not a specific number. We feel confident that we can meet that number, and it's a respectable number. Beyond that, we still have a phase 3 and a phase 4 that will start to present in a later date. This phase will take us about 2 years, Ari.
I'm sorry, Dr. Campbell.
Phase 2 is going to be a 2-year process.
Yes, that's right.
So we're working on how to start phase 3 while we're completing phase 2 and phase 4. We're not there yet. We're going to give that information to you. All said and done, we're predicting we're going to be somewhere in the $85 million range. I know last year we talked about a $72 million number, but some of our other budget numbers are coming in, so we feel comfortable that we can meet all of these goals at that budget. We're going to have some more discussions about the financing and how we deal with that total number at a later date. So I would expect another committee of the whole sometime, I don't know, this school year to address that entire picture, to give us some time to work on that and how we address it. There's 2 ways to address it. We can do a small bond issue, which we have room for, or we can use our fund balances to pick up that $10 million, $11 million number. Quite a meeting, a lot going on, a lot of exciting things.
The thing is, front of my saying that the church field college.
We did that research that has never been substantiated.
These are newer fields. I know back when they first started, there was a big concern, but I don't know if you remember the second presentation I did ask about if there was any carcinogens or like diseases or something that can be maintained, but because of the filter system, according to the way I understood it and the way I looked it up, that is not really a substantiated thing.
Anything else?
attention. I don't know those other renderings, this is our most up-to-date, we just have to fill in some details on it. Correct?
Building renderings?
Yes.
They are, yes. Yeah, the still images rendered with the most up-to-date.
So after Tuesday, whatever we have finalized, we'll start to publicize and give you copies of those. And then we'll do that without getting permission first. Okay. Back to you.
All right. Announcements, board meeting is Tuesday, September 19th at 7 PM at Tinley Park High School. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Second. Mark Johnson, second